So again, to reiterate, sometimes I use the magnifying glass, which is what you see on the cursor. The hotkey is Shift M to turn it on, and if you want to find it, it's in preferences and then magnifying glass right here, and you can just click on it, turn it on, turn it off. Again, you don't need this. It's just a teaching tool for me so you can see small buttons on the UI. To start off, I'm just going to open Zbrush, hit Control New, and the comma key to get rid of the light box. Then I select the cylinder, drag it out, make Polymesh 3D, hit T to edit, Control N to clear, T to enter edit mode. So now I'm going to divide up. You can just hit Control D or go into the geometry panel. Go do a couple more times. You want a pretty good number. You'll kind of know. Now you can start painting, and for the paintbrush, I just use the default paintbrush. I might actually want to do one more. And then I have a hotkey set, which is just fill object, and that is in the color menu. Right here, I have a hotkey set, Control Shift F, and to add it, you can drag over the color menu by doing so, coming down, clicking on it, Control Alt, click on it, then assign the hotkey, and it's already set. Close it, preferences, hotkeys, the hotkey panel, and you hit start, and then it'll launch every time. Oh, Chloe, I might not need this. Well, you might. When you have 60 subtools. I'm just gonna fill it with a skin color, and then we'll get started. Oh, and to color pick, you just go use the C key or wherever you can select the color you want, and you can hold over the mesh, you hit C, and then you can paint with that, or you can go in and select between the blur and get like a nice blend between this high contrast green. It's kind of a bad color to use, but yeah. So 2 reasons why you want to turn off shift on RGB on shift, because when you are working on the sculpt on a lower subdivision and you're smoothing out the forms, this can in turn, since it is again a vertex based thing, it mess up your poly paint. Let's see, I need like a nice blue. Okay, so here I am painting on the high, go to the low. Do you see the difference? Okay. Forms. But with RGB turned on, it wasn't on. Oops. Okay, smooth out the forms on a low. You can see it messes up again. So make sure you have smooth turned off on RGB. To import a image to color pick from, what you want to do is go to texture, import, open the image, select the image, then go to spotlight. I think add to spotlight, and then it'll pop up. And what I like to do is turn the opacity up, and to hide spotlight you hit Shift Z, and to show it again is Shift C, and then to stop editing it you hit Z. And I like to scale it or color pick if I so desire, and again it's just C. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to use color picking. Sometimes you don't really understand what a color looks like. This, however, can be a problem though if you already have an established skin tone, because again this color might be too dark or too light, or the concept might have the wrong color scheme. So just be wary for your sculpt and the color picking, because it can sometimes not be what you need. Feel free to use this technique, because I didn't know how to use or read this color menu until last year, so I would just use concepts and I would go in, I would color pick, and so I would go in, maybe I wanted to paint the cheeks red, I would pick this red and I just paint it on or what have you. But it's a really good technique. Just keep in mind, like, oh, this is in shadow, like this is in a light, so just be very wary. Oh yeah, and you can also take this and paint it on. I don't really like this technique. It's quite messy since it is 3D, but you could again project it on, but it again is the wrong color, so use that with what you will. And yeah, it's gonna be quite finicky, so keep that in mind. Also, because sometimes your references can be a bit too light or what have you, I actually sometimes will tend to make the colors undersaturated, and this is just an easy fix. When I go into the poly paint menu, this is in the subtool menu, poly paint, then I adjust colors, and it's really nice. You can just go in and increase the saturation. I've already increased it here, but again, sometimes it's good to undersaturate because then you can just adjust at the end. This is not foolproof, but it's just something that is an easy fix for me always. I always undersaturate. Always. It's always one of my things I do. Just to cover one last thing for the technical aspect, I use this panel just colors. One of the things I like to do is to pick color ranges, so and then just so like, see, I want to just mask this red and, you know, everything else, so I'm gonna just finagle the tolerance. That might not be even, might be so close. This might not work. Hold on, let me see. I want to mask this purple. It's I've already done before. All right, let's see. So one of the things I like to do in the adjust colors menu is to, if I want to preserve, say, like the hex tech painting up here, what I'll do is I'll go in and mask out, see, like this got that purple, and try to increase the tolerance a little bit, and you can see up here, oh, there's also some purple down here. But what this allows me to do is, say, if I want to change the forehead color, what I can do is then just, see, it's masked, so I can go in and just paint and then unmask, and then you can have that there. That's not what I, wanted to do, but it is like how I keep certain features when I'm, say, like making the furry head or what have you. And to kick off the next chapter, I will be going into color, local color, just to give you a brief rundown of that. One here today, the book I am referencing is Color and Light by James Gurney, and for local color, so up on the screen you'll see local color is the color of the surface of an object as it appears close up in the white light. If you held up a matching paint swatch against it, that swatch would be the local color. However, the color you actually mix to paint the object will usually be different. Also, it goes on to say in the page further down, generally, the colors you actually mix in a painting will involve some modulation of the local color. You might lighten or darken the color to model the form, gray it down to push it back through the layers of atmosphere, or shift the hue to the object for reflected light from other objects. What that means for us is that we are doing the local color. So basically what the model looks like in a white light, and then we can introduce things like the reflected light if we want to, where you'll see on some of my models where I introduce that blue or the on one side or the yellow, kind of like you see in the Arcane models. But those are done through light sources and not through the paint. But I choose to do them through the paint, like in Cedric's work here. This isn't to confuse you with face regions. That is something we'll be about to cover, but this is just to show you how I will sometimes add light. Like in Cedric's work, you can see the blue light on one side and the yellow, warmer side on the other. This can add some dimension, a very 2D look. Again, about to get in the face regions, don't worry about this. This kind of may confuse you, it's just something I do. Alright, so to to go over the facial regions when you're painting a face. First, you have the yellow section, which is on the forehead. In order to get like a nice blend with the base skin color, what I'll do is I will take the default paintbrush, which is a soft brush, and get this nice gradient. So you see this nice fall off right here. I will select it using C, and then I will paint over. And what this does is it gives you a nice blend. You can even go further if you wanted to, without having to read this color wheel. You can just put the color you want in and then blend it with the underlying skin tone. And what this does is not only saves you sanity, but it also just allows you more freedom to do what you want. And it's just, it makes more sense, like instead of trying to comprehend everything about the colors, like you know, add some back. But yeah, this is what I do to create the facial regions. And I may actually tone this down a little bit, but what I now can do is, you see how there's this nice blend. Oh, and the color zone on females is much lighter than it is on males. So that the blue area on the cool area is much lighter on females, so just keep that in mind when you're painting females. You don't want to add too much. Sometimes I'll add like a purple maybe, and like really just tone it down. It is still cooler, but just make sure you tone it down. And it gets more intricate as you go into different regions, but for now, just like make sure you always have these basic 3 regions, and you should be good. And it makes it seem more lifelike. As you can see with the darker skin tones, there's less of a, the neutral, the tones, but you can add a lot of different colors and just lighting choices. It's really up to you to experiment. But again, there are still some of those like warm hues integrated into the skin. And the planar changes. You can see here how I did the yellow region up here, the pink, and then the purple right here. You want to look at the overall color, not just like the lighting I painted in. This was my stylistic choice. But yeah, just focusing on like the overall regions. As you can see, it's pink here, and then the cool down here. It's not like it's a nice purple, not like a nice like usually men a bit more like you look at their dark 5 o'clock shadow and it's more dark blue, sort of. It's still like a purple. But to go over another technique that I do, when painting the base, and I'm painting a section, so let me turn this, or like here, the same thing here. When I paint in these, see, this is like you color pick it with C. What I'm doing is, like you can see over here, like it's not blue, like because of color theory. This is a gray color, and so your mind, when you add the color in, like with like if you don't want to blue, like the veins are blue. Don't do this. Do the technique I showed you earlier, and do paint it and then select it. Select the outermost, and then paint it again. Select the outermost, and you see you get like a much less harsh blue, but it's still that same color. It's just more diluted. Do you get what I'm saying? All right, and then for the overall, and I just repeat this across the entire face. So like if I ever introducing a new color, I always like to place it and then select that outermost region, and then place it and then select that outermost region until I get the desired color that I'm going for. But yeah, the planer we're gonna talk about too. So to go a bit deeper into like the arcane painting style and how I approach it when I paint my models, basically what you want to do is, let's say you have like, you want to paint the eye, right? Let's just start over and like fill it in with like a nice red, like dark color. First of all, I'll start off by looking at my reference and being like, okay, here's where they put the different highlights, here's where they put the different like plane changes, and you need to complement with the sculpt as well. So I will usually start the poly painting process like very early on, and I'll show like a clip of that. What this does is it not only informs you of during your sculpting, but it also informs you of your poly paint later on. It like gives you a head start. It can help you like start matching it to whatever concept you're working on, and it just overall is a good idea to get started early. Actually this is asymmetrical, so this might be a pain to do, but I might just do one side. All right, but another thing I like to do also is whenever you have like, you know, all these colors, right, it's a good idea to keep it simple again. So for one of the things I may like to do is I'll like to, let me just undo so I can show you something. Okay, so I'll like to sample the color from somewhere else on the face. Also, having the reference pulled up alongside helps. But remembering that this is not in white light. This isn't like a green or like a yellow light, or this is like duller or whatever. Just keep that in mind. See, like he's not like, his light's not on his face. It's like he's backlit, so it's gonna be a bit duller than the colors. So just keep that in mind. If you do want a color sample, like go ahead, but just keep that in mind. Like colors are gonna be changed. So I'll just show you one of the things I like to do. So I'll just color sample this one, and I'll go in and paint it. So like the region here. Actually, I did it wrong. But see, I just go in and I highlight. So I already have these sculpted forms here, which inform me of where I need to place different colors. I'm gonna just go in with this color here. Yeah, I'll just turn off the hair. It's gonna look creepy. But yeah, just making sure you're accentuating the different plane changes. That's what all the arcane style is about, is just going in and really highlighting the sculpted form. Unlike a lot of styles like it complements the 3D form very well. All right, I need like a dark red. Also, let me do that thing I did earlier where like I'll actually go in and make it a bit darker, and then just make the form. And I use the soft brush because you can get a nice hard edge, but you can also get a nice like soft fall off, such as like what you see. Actually, I think it's right here, not as well, maybe not in this lighting, but they'll do it on a lot of the especially like Jinx arcane models, is like they'll have this like nice blend. It's like there'll be hard edge up here, and then it'll be like a nice soft like blend out. Again, this is not entirely accurate to what I had before, but that's okay. We're here to experiment for the tutorial. And again, like just to show you like what I had before, I just, oh shit. Oh shit. It's not perfect, it's not as saturated, but you can see like the beginnings of the different regions. But yeah, I just look at references, I just take it slowly. Remember to not, this is a long process. Like I said, this like starts at the very beginning when you're sculpting it. Like the poly paint like helps you like, oh, like I think his lip is like slightly raised here, like, you know, this is this asymmetrical, and like this eyebrow is also asymmetrical, eyebrow wrinkle. So also, you know, making use of the, say, like this nice blend here. Actually, want to add that back in. It'd be a bit yellow, more on the yellow on the forehead, but I'm not too worried about it. But you see, like that nice fall off. I am using a pencil right now, but I think you could use a mouse too. But yeah, I'm just going in like, oh yeah, and so another thing, it's like what I said about being, you know, simplifying earlier. Like every color I think I've like pulled from somewhere on the face that like, or tried to like uniform. Like if I'm noticing things are getting like a bit messy, I'll try to like rein it back in and like just use, it's like this color may have been from here, like this one was from here. Yeah, just take your time. Let me show you an example of like when it was a bit more messy. Hello, I hope this helps you maybe learn something that you didn't already know with painting. Maybe you're a beginner, maybe you're advanced. Regardless, I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching.